Hello everybody, it's Dave Fernape here with the weekly recap. Today, I'm with a co-host. His name is...
Hey guys, my name is Matty.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm excited to be here. How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks for asking. So, this week was week 1 of the season. It all started up season 3, and we're really excited. So, starting up with we're just going to be talking about the scores for each game. If you haven't seen the games, I urge you to go check out everybody's channel in the NPL. Links will be down in the description. Check out all the games before you watch this weekly recap because I tell you, those are so exciting to watch. Um, so Portland and New York squared up first, and Portland came out with a narrow 1-0 victory. Um, Gyarados at one point for New York looked like it was going to sweep, but Portland brought it back and able to get that 1-0 victory. Toronto and Atlanta actually had they were the game of the week this week session. So they're the game of the week. So there's a video about that. You guys can go check it out. Co-hosted by me, and main announcer was Matty. So you guys can check that out. It was a very stally match, but it was super intense, and Toronto came out a 2-1 victory, which just boils down to 1-0. Um, Phoenix and Detroit played next. Cheese Boy played really, really good and brought away a 2-0 victory, so he had more room to breathe than that. He played very well and played safe. He could have gotten maybe a better score, but he played smart. He played safe, knowing that Ashley, the coach of the Detroit Pincers, is a very smart person and could have done really well if she found some way to exploit something. So Cheese played safe and played well. Unfortunately, Chicago and Green Bay didn't get to play this week, but during week 11 they're going to make it up and upload it, so be sure to be excited for that. That's just one thing that's going to happen on the week before the playoffs start. Um, and then Oakland came out playing extremely well, taking a 3-0 victory against Seattle. It wasn't an easy victory, but Oakland definitely played amazing to get that victory. Shout outs to Richard, he did really good that battle. Um, New England versus San Antonio, another 3-0 victory. New England, they played hard, but unfortunately they made some misplays. San Antonio capitalized, brought away a big victory, and also countered the huge threats on New England really well. Is there anything you want to add?
Yeah, no, you seem to sum that up pretty well. All teams played pretty well this week, and there were definitely some intense games, but Oakland and San Antonio seemed to come out the strongest by coming out and winning by pretty big differentials in 3-0. And as Dave mentioned before, the Toronto Atlanta game was extremely intense. There was a stalwart at the end, but watching up till that point, and I guess just speeding up the stalwart part, well, it was a really, really great game. Definitely deserving game of the week. But to all coaches, great job in week 1. Good luck to you guys in the next coming weeks. And it's definitely a pleasure to watch all you guys play, being it was my first week as an analyst in this league.
Yeah, and there wasn't too much hacks at all. There wasn't any like bad luck that really made a difference or mattered. Cough, cough, razor, because he likes to hacks everybody. And so it was a solid start to the season, and also some players came out really strong. Obviously, everybody was looking at Infernape making an impact, and he definitely did, getting 3 kills in his first week. And he plays for Portland, so definitely, definitely a strong asset, and probably is going to get some more kills this season.
Yeah, absolutely. And Fernie came out hot. Definitely a great Pokemon in this format. I feel like it always proves to be, no matter what league you're watching, if you see an Infernape, they just have so many options. They could do so many different things. And definitely a Pokemon to keep your eye out for any of the other coaches, because you never know what it's going to do. So you got to make sure that you're prepared for it.
So, this week we get to see something interesting in this format, which is on the DS, stalling out the time. Um, it's kind of it's a weird topic to talk about. Just the Star Wars and the Time Wars, especially because you don't normally see that anywhere else. If you play on Pokemon Showdown, that's not really a problem. The games can go up to like 700 turns, but on DS, since there's an hour-long limit, sometimes games can end just because the timer. This week it didn't really make an impact as Toronto was definitely going to win the game. There was nothing Atlanta could do, but it still went down to the timer, and that brings up some strategies from coaches. Are they actually going to abuse the timer? And it's sort of something that might be frowned upon, but also a strategy that could be used if they're down and they need to do something, just get in the lead and just stall out the time. It's another strategy. If you play against people that you don't know online, they sometimes try that where they wait out a full minute just so the timer can go down and they can win. So
Right. Yeah, definitely. It's like Dave said, it could be frowned upon. It's definitely not the most fun thing to watch by any means, but sometimes you have to do what you have to do if you really need to score a win and you have more Pokemon than your opponent, and you have ways to stall them out where you won't lose too many Pokemon. Then sometimes you have to do what you got to do and stall them out for the win. If um, you don't believe in something like that, by all means, then just go out and battle until to determine who had the better team, who played better that day. But sometimes when it really comes down to things, the numbers do matter, and getting that win is important. So the way the DS will give the coach with the more Pokemon left, or if the Pokemon total are tied, then it goes to HP. So the way the DS does that, it's definitely something to be cognizant about because it could definitely come into play in matches the way it did in the Toronto Atlanta game. So yeah, definitely a great point to bring up, Dave.
we've actually seen people on other leagues such as the GBA or the UCL actually take so long because they were on the DS. They took so long that they didn't pick a move and nothing happened for them. Like they waited out the minute and just didn't do anything because they were thinking. So on Showdown you have a little bit more of time. Also you have like a constant reminder popping up in the chat that you have to make a move. We also saw some chokes this week. New York had a +2 Gyarados out on the field, +2 attack, +2 speed, and Portland brought in an Infernape. Now, this Infernape actually had an expert belt. It wasn't Choice Scarf, it wasn't Focus Sash or anything like that. It had an expert belt, but New York switched out, not realizing that it was expert belt, and that might have actually cost him the game. As I said, Infernape got 3 kills, so Portland did good in faking that the Infernape was some sort of variant to counter Gyarados, but I think New York should have at least gone for like some sort of attack to at least if it was focus sash just to break the sash because that would be a threat later on. Also, if he's not max speed Scarf, he couldn't outspeed, and max speed Scarf in this format isn't too uncommon, just because you can also counter team the opponent. So he might not have been having full speed because he might have wanted some HP to live certain attacks. So it was an interesting play on New York's part. If they stayed in, they would have won the game definitely, but unfortunately they switched, and Portland. That's what allowed Portland to win. Also, New England, like we said, made some misplays against San Antonio, unfortunately. So San Antonio got to pick up a really big win there.
Right. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I'm curious to know what going back to the Gyarados and Fernate play. I want to know what the Gyarados' EV spread was because if it was Jolly and even close to max speed, the +2 would easily outspeed Infernape, even if it was Jolly Choice Scarf. So that's kind of surprising to me that they switched out. Maybe sometimes when you get into the heat of the moment, you don't even you try to do the math in your head, or you just will expect that they have something that is going to take you out. So sometimes you just kind of panic and do things without totally thinking it through because a Mega Gyarados is really bulky. Was it normal or Mega?
It was a normal Gyarados.
Right, it was normal.
I don't remember if it was +2, but it was bulky, or if it was +1, but it was offensive. But it
Okay,
definitely it had a chance to outspeed.
okay, that
Is
makes sense.
remember. I don't know the
Right,
exact numbers, but
right,
he had a
definitely.
chance to outspeed, but it wasn't 100% chance, which is why he switched out.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, it's definitely important to be really cognizant of EV spreads and and know exactly whether you'll be able to outspeed certain things and not just because uh, games could boil down to that. But it could very well have been where the Gyarados was either only a +1 or it was bulky to where even at +2 it wouldn't be able to outspeed a Scarfed Infernape. So yeah, definitely an interesting turn of events in that game.
So this week, opening week, we actually saw some trades. Coaches just getting right down to business. The Detroit Pincers and their coach Ashley decided to trade with Trevenant Forest and the Atlanta Braviaries. The trade was Ashley would get the Alamamola, Trevenant would get the Jirachi. Then Trevenant would give away a first round pick, and Ashley would give him her third round pick. So it was a Jirachi for an Alamamola and a first round pick for a third round pick, which I think is an interesting trade. I think Trev didn't actually have to give away his first round pick. I don't think that was necessary.
Right. Yeah, I kind of agree. I mean, the first round picks are just so huge in this format.
Yeah, sometimes coaches get a little bit too greedy and try to give away their draft picks to have something right now. Um, but I guess maybe it wasn't too bad a play, especially since Jirachi does fit his team well. It's
Yeah.
just now he has two steel types that maybe Honedge or I mean Doublade might not necessarily be useful anymore. So I guess he could have found a trading aspect for that.
Yeah, that's true. The blade isn't the easiest. From my experience in playing League play, the blade isn't the easiest to bring to matches. I mean, its typing is great, but sometimes it just gets either worn down too easily or offensively it's too slow and doesn't have the power to break through certain teams and whatnot. So maybe he wanted Jirachi as a premier skill type, and people overlook Jirachi's versatility sometimes. That thing can really, really pull off tons of sets with great coverage options, great defensive and support options, and just all around very good stats. So the Jirachi Almamola trade was definitely nice for Trev, but yeah, the whole losing a first round draft pick is also that could come into play big time next season because first round draft picks are huge.
Yeah, that can definitely get like just a Pokemon that would just that Trev might have wanted that Ashley can pick up. Looking at the trade block, the Green Bay Palkias actually have in their roles to be filled, they have a Ghost type and also a Steel type, and they're up for trade as Halucha. So Ghost and Steel type is definitely Doublade, exactly. So Trevenant Forest might actually want the Halucha, especially because he doesn't really have any strong fighting types on his team. There's nothing that's a fighting type on his team. So he could definitely have picked that up because he has literally nothing that's a fighting type.
That's a good point.
I mean, Victini could learn Focus Blast and Brick Break. Mega Blastoise can learn Aura Sphere, and Azumarill can learn Superpower, and that's basically it for his fighting type attacks.
Yeah, that's true. That's definitely true.
So he's definitely lacking on fighting. Also, sort of lacking on flying. He does have Landorus T, but that doesn't really have any solid flying type attacks.
Not at all.
And he also has Braviary, but I don't know. Maybe he has plans for Braviary. He might drop it for getting something in free agency. And speaking of free agency, there are a lot of free agents that are Pokemon that just basically never got picked by anybody and are extremely solid Pokemon. There are some really good ones. I'm seeing Magnezone, which could trap Pokemon because of its ability, could get rid of Pokemon like Ferrothorn. be able to kill them with hidden power fire, and so somebody strategically, if they're playing against Cheese or somebody with Scizor, could just pick up Magnezone last second in free agency and bring that to help them out. Um,
Right.
are there any specific ones that catch your eye?
You're seeing Magnezone. Magnezone can definitely fit certain teams incredibly well. Any team with powerful megas like Mega Altaria or Mega Diancie, things like that, Mega Metagross, can always really be benefited by Magnezone. But some other ones that really stand out to me are Mandibuzz is nice in this format because it really has a really wide array of moves and whatnot, and it's bulky on both the physical and special side. I always like when it comes to bulky Pokemon in this format, I like ones that can be bulky on both sides of the spectrum because depending on what you might need to face your opponent, you could just change that up. And if you really don't need, for example, if you really don't need a special wall, and all you have as a wall is Blissey, then you're kind of in trouble because it can't really wall things on the physical side too well. So that's where Mandibuzz comes in, and could definitely be a nice free agent pickup for someone because it's very well versed. It's got great moves, good typing, and just incredible bulk. And another one that definitely stands out to me is actually Blaziken. Blaziken, even though it can't run Speed Boost in this format, is just so versatile. It's kind of like Infernape, despite being a lot slower. It's kind of like Infernape with more power. It just can run tons of different moves. It has a great move pool, not terrible bulk, and decent speed. So with the right support, it really could tear up a lot of teams and fit a lot of teams as well because it can run so many sets. So I think that's definitely a Pokemon to keep an eye out for in this type of format.
Yeah, you can also, with Mandibuzz, you could run an offensive variant.
Yeah, that's
That's
true.
that's something that we've seen before, which is
What's Mandabuzz's attack stat? Around 80?
85, I believe.
85?
Um, it's not bad. It has a good move pool if it wants to be offensive.
Yeah, I mean, Talonflame's Brave Bird hits pretty hard, and that thing's attack is only 81. So, and knockoff is really nice. I mean, stab knockoff is always fantastic.
Yeah, and another like these weren't really one specific Pokemon that I noticed didn't get pick up. It was just like sort of like maybe a combination, which I was looking at like Rain. Rain was just definitely not affected at all. Even like Sand really wasn't like in anybody's minds to try to get possible like team members that can abuse weather. For example, Politoed, Kingdra, Kabutops, Ludicolo, and Toxicroak are five Pokemon that were just never picked. If somebody at least got like Politoed and maybe Kingdra, that's a really good combination right there. Um, Kabutops obviously can do work. Same with Ludicolo. Ludicolo can just be fat and range, just sit there.
Yep.
And it was just surprising that nobody even like attempted to even get something like maybe drafting Kingdra first and then trying to get Palatoad if nobody else picked it, and
Right.
so that they didn't get Palatoad and then Kingdra got sniped and then they literally had a useless frog.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, Kingdra could do pretty well on its own. And yeah, no, it's the thing about weather is uh, I remember watching the GBA Mega Mogwai having um, Hippowdon plus Stoutland was really something that people had to prepare for every game just because that's so deadly. If you could just switch in your Hippowdon and keep the sand up for 5 to 8 turns and allow a Choice Bandit or a Life Orb, Stoutland, or any other type of weather sweeper come in with good coverage and boosted power, it's just so dangerous, especially with rain. Things like Kingdra and Kabutops getting to boost their stabs and Hydro Pump and Waterfall, respectively. It's really scary and something that should definitely be prepped for every game. So that's definitely a great point to point out that none of those things were picked. So definitely very interesting.
Um, as you said, Stoutland was a threat, and it actually didn't get picked. It's still up in free agency, and there are a couple of teams that I was looking at could potentially get Stoutland. Like The New York Metangs. Obviously, they don't have Hippowdon or Tyranitar, but a set that I was actually looking at was actually if they got sand on their Crocodile, they could actually run Sandstorm on their Crocodile. It was a set that I mentioned to him that I came up with that I mentioned to him and that I tried out with him, and it's a good set. Crocodile with Sandstorm. It catches people off guard. Um, Plus, they also have Excadrill, which is another Pokemon that can. It's definitely another Pokemon that can abuse the sand, definitely. And Stoutland, they have a Dunsparce, so it's not like they don't have room. I mean, they have a Dunsparce.
Right,
I don't think there's much else that needs to be said.
right, right, definitely.
Oakland could also get excuse me. They can also get something along those lines, because they have Tyranitar and they have a vanilla ice cream cone. So I don't know if they really need Vanillux, but if they have a
Right,
T-Tar, they definitely can afford having Stoutland on their team. Um,
absolutely.
Portland also has Hippowdon, but looking at their team, I don't know if there's much that they want to drop to be able to get Stoutland, just because their team is so solid, and their three Pokemon that they can drop is Crobat, Zoroark, and Magneton. I mean, they can always drop Magneton because there's also Magnezone, so if one of them gets sniped from him, gets taken away from him, there's always the other one.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. But having Magneton for Mega Pinsir is just phenomenal.
Yeah, it is. He made a good play in that. It's just it's weird seeing a Hippo and then there's a Stoutland in free agency that's just doing nothing.
I know that definitely that definitely is true.
Speaking of the vanilla ice cream cone that I was talking about earlier, there's also Jinx and Abomasnow, which were never got picked.
Huh. That yeah, that is pretty surprising. They are very sneaky Pokemon that can fulfill a few different roles and do them all pretty well. And the ice typing really is so good offensively these days. People just don't prepare for it too much because there aren't so that many common, very good ice types. But yeah, those are definitely two pretty strong picks if anyone is looking for a powerful ice type, grass type, psychic type, whatever you're looking for that have good move pools.
I believe Frostlass wasn't even picked either, which is another ice type, which can also set up hazards, so it has more uses than Vanillux, definitely.
Right. Yep, that is true.
Um,
Process is very good.
that's really it for the Pokemon that caught my eye this week in free agency. Definitely, free agency is something we have to constantly be looking at. Same with the coaches; they definitely have to keep an eye on free agency. But that's really all I noticed right now. Is there anything else you'd like to add on that subject?
Um, I'm not sure. I mean, there really there's just so many there's just so many strong and viable Pokemon in this format that are still here for free agents. So, I guess not too many that jump out to me and say, how could this possibly not get picked? But definitely some things like Haxorus, Cofagrigus, Blaziken, Frostlass, even Chandelure and Machamp are just easy to slap on teams for the most part. Definitely a lot of things for coaches to look out for.
Yeah, and so I think we're gonna wrap up by looking at the matchups for next week. We're gonna be seeing Trevenant and Togavor, which is Atlanta and Portland. That should be an exciting match. That's two really good players, two really solid players. Obviously there's Infernape in there, which is a huge threat. We could also finally see a Azumarill come in. Um, After that, we're going to be seeing New England and Toronto. Unfortunate for New England to be facing another powerful team right off the bat. They definitely don't want to get into like a hole that they have to dig themselves out of. So maybe we could see some upset and he completely redeems himself, or we could also see just a very close game. Jolt definitely has the advantage team wise, but New England has some threats that Jolt can't just bring any Pokemon and expect to win. So that's another exciting thing. We might see debuts from Green Bay and Chicago this week if they actually have the time to be able to finish their battles. Um, It's going to be interesting to see how Detroit can try to bounce back from a loss, especially from a team that's doing really good,
Right.
such as San Antonio. They're definitely on a roll with the way they're
Yep.
playing. Same with Oakland. So Phoenix and Oakland are two teams. They both picked up a win. They're going to try to see who can stay undefeated here.
Right. Definitely.
Looking at this
Definitely good to see.
matchup, there's going to be at least one person undefeated, but who knows? There could be, Togavor can continue to win. Who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah. No. Definitely. This week is going to be very exciting as the weeks go on. It's always to see. It's always nice to see or fun to watch teams that are undefeated, and when every new week comes, always you always get excited to see whether they're going to win or lose and be able to keep the streak alive. So for those undefeated coaches, good luck. Do your best to keep the streak alive, and good luck to all the coaches. This is going to be an exciting week for sure. I like some of these matchups.
Okay, so is there any last points that you want to hit or anything else you want to talk about?
Um, I think that's just about it. I definitely enjoyed going over the weekly recap. There's so much that goes into the NPL, and it really is awesome. And I'm really looking forward to this week's matches, and as I really enjoyed this past week's matches. So good luck to all the coaches. Thanks for having me on here, Dave.
Thank you for being here. It was fun to have you, and hopefully next week will be just exciting as this week. So thank you all so much for watching. Subscribe to everybody in the NPL. Subscribe to the NPL channel. Be sure to check out me and Matty's channels. You can check me out at Dave Fernape and him at Matty Brolick. And thank you for watching.